Bookends. Welcome to this week's 10-minute book review. I'm 10. This week's book review is going to be on The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. Now, full disclosure, this book was received for free as an art copy via NetGalley. So just jumping right on in. Normally I would show you what it looks like, but because it is an art copy, there's not really a picture per se. So I'll try to put like a picture up here of what the actual book cover looks like. It's actually a nice book cover. So we like to start off every book review with a star point, as in out of 10 stars, how many stars this book garner. We also like to give a rating, as in if this book was a movie or a TV show, what would it be rated? For a star point, this book is 10 out of 10. I'm going to tell you why it scored so high. Also, for a rating, there's only one thing that might make it R, but since this is a book based in India, if it was a Bollywood movie, it would definitely be like a PG-13. If it was American, like it was an American made, then it might push the PG-13 to R realm, but only because of one scene. So jumping right in, we meet Lakshmi. Actually, the first one we meet is Radha. I might be saying her name wrong. Let me just... Radha. Yeah, I believe it's Radha. So we meet Radha. She is in a small village. Her parents are dead, and she's being told by an old man that if she doesn't leave, and the old man likes her. He's not like a mean old man. He's a nice old man. But he's like, if she doesn't leave, she is going to be forced to marry an older man. And she's only 13 at the time. So she leaves to go find her sister, who he told her about. And when she gets to the place where her sister is supposed to be, she finds her brother-in-law, who doesn't have her sister with him. So that's like kind of like the prologue. Later, not too much later, like right after the prologue, we meet Lakshmi. Lakshmi is about 30. She is a henna artist, and she's not just a henna artist, she is a henna artist in demand. Like other people are just putting like little dots, little lines, just cute stuff. But she is turning people not only into arts of work, or I should say works of art. Can't talk. And she's also making, apparently she's making the women who are her clients look so good that their husbands want to sleep with them. So apparently in high society in India at this time, the men weren't about it when it came to sleeping with their wives. Don't know. Something I found was interesting was that the henna designs themselves were considered to be sensual. And even though they weren't particularly sensual, like they weren't body parts, they weren't, reenactments of certain sexual acts, they weren't anything like that. In fact, one of her clients, what was her name? Began with a P. Parvati. She said that she attributed the birth of her son to Lakshmi's artwork on her. And it's like on her arms, on her hands, on her feet. Especially the art that's on the soles of her feet. And because she's like, no one will ever see this but your husband. And she drew like a fig on the sole of her foot. Like a fig opening or something. And somehow or another that is supposed to be sensual. Don't know how that works. I guess it's either a generational thing, like maybe figs were sexy in the 50s in India, or maybe it's a cultural thing where figs signify something sexual in India. I'm not 100% sure. Whatever it was though, Lakshmi was doing her thing, and she saved up so much money that she was able to not only buy her own house, she was able to commission to have her own house built. So she had her house built from the ground up. And she was so happy about this. She kept writing home to her parents saying, like, you know, I can't wait for you to come visit me. You can come live here with me, and here's money to catch the train. But her parents would never answer. Later on, her ex-husband, Harry, well, not really her ex-husband. It's a little more convoluted than that. But her husband, Harry, shows up at her door. And Harry is Indian, too. So it's H-A-R-I. He shows up at her door and he's like, hey, you know, all the stuff that happened with us in the past is in the past, and I'm ready to work it on out with you. You know, you're doing great. And I also brought your sister along. She's like, I ain't got no sister, and you can leave. He's like, what do you mean you don't got a sister? She right here. So she lights a match because she didn't have electricity in her new house yet because it was just being built. And she looks at the girl, who is Radha, and she's like, oh my God. This girl got my mother's face. She got eyes that are kind of like mine. Lakshmi has blue eyes, and they don't know where she got them from. I'm sure her parents probably knew, but her parents are dead. So Lakshmi has blue eyes, and Radha, she has like greenish blue, more green than blue. And Lakshmi is lighter, and Radha is a little bit darker than her. She's like, yeah, she looks like my mom. So now she's pissed because she never wanted to have kids because she never wanted to be bogged down with children. That's one of the reasons why she left Harry. And now she has like a 13-year-old because she's like, okay, well, I gotta take care of her. Honor says I got to, so I got me a 13-year-old now. And she's hyper pissed about it, and it shows. She doesn't mean for it to show, but she says some mean things to Radha without really trying to be mean. Like, the journey from where her estranged husband and her little sister were, well, I should say the journey from where they were to where she is in Jaipur is a long journey. And so they were in like pig carts and shepherd carts and stuff like that and sleeping outside. So her little sister has like ticks and stuff in her hair. So she's scrubbing her sister clean and washing her hair and picking the ticks out, and she's like, God, don't you ever wash? And the girl, you know, it's like, yeah, I wash, but dude, where are you gonna wash on the road? Because it's like the 50s, so I guess they didn't have, not that they didn't have hotels, but I doubt they had hotels that common folk or poor folk could stay in. So she says some off-color things to her. She wants her little sister to have the life that she didn't have, which is an education, prospects, a good job, not having to depend on anyone, including her, for anything once she got to a certain age. So she wants to put her sister in school. Now, Lakshmi, the things I'm saying I don't really think are spoilers because one, it's not going to go that in depth. But also, two, it's kind of a contemporary. So you already know a contemporary, nothing spectacular is going to happen. It's just someone's life, either a day in the life of, a year in the life of, a decade in the life of. You know, it's a contemporary, so you know it's a blink in the life of. So Lakshmi's clients, they are rich women and they are gossipers. They are so gossipy. Her best client, Parvata, you know, let me just look at it again. I'm not used to the names, and so I'm trying to say them right. Parvati, P-A-R-V-A-T-I. I should have talked to my sister before I did this because she watches a lot of Bollywood. I don't. So Parvati, I think. But she has a son, and she's very protective of her older son. She loves both of her sons, but she's very protective of her older son because this is her legacy, right? And her husband's legacy. So she is so protective of her son that she is willing to get rid of the niece, the person who's been taking care of her children, her home, since her youngest son was born. So this is a really trusted, really beloved servant. That servant's niece, she's willing to get rid of her. Not kill her, but like, no, you gotta go. You can't live here. Because she thinks that her son Ravi might have a crush on her. Turns out Ravi ain't too discriminate. Anyway. So Lakshmi says, you know, hey, I know a good girl for Robbie. Now back then, if there was an arranged marriage, if you were the person who arranged it, like if you put, you know, 1 and 1 together to make 2, then you got a marriage fee, you know, for setting these 2 people up. And eventually Parvati says, okay, yeah, sure, I like this arrangement that you've set up. So things are looking good for Lakshmi. She's getting good money in the henna game. She's set up a marriage. She's not happy about her sister being around, but it's okay. Also, too, she has this little boy. Now, mind you, like I said, she never wanted to have children, but there's this little boy named Malik who has become like a, not, I don't want to say a servant boy, because she don't treat him like a servant boy, but he's always around her, and she sends him out to do jobs, to get the grocery shopping done, to get the stuff that she needs for her henna. He also goes with her on her henna appointments, and he waits outside. You know, he runs errands. And so she has Malik, and so she's been basically raising Malik. He doesn't live with her, but she's basically been doing that. Things start to turn on their head once her sister shows up. First of all, this little girl don't listen. She does not listen. You know, Lakshmi says, you need to pay attention, do this. She's like, no, I'm not going to. I'd like to do this instead. Like, this little girl, I would have been like, okay, bruh, you're not my problem. You gonna be a ward of the state. I don't even know if they got wards of the state in India, but you about to be a ward of the state, something, because I'm not gonna deal. But yeah, her sister does that. Then her ex-husband Harry. So she left Harry because Harry was abusive towards her. He was abusive towards her because she kept turning up not pregnant. Like every month she'd have her period. And he was like, okay, well, you make me look bad. I look like I'm not virile because you keep turning up not pregnant. And she was turning up not pregnant on purpose. As it turns out, she was actually giving herself abortions with a particular root, a tea root that she was drinking. I'm not going to say what the tea root is because I don't know if it actually works or not. And I don't want anyone to look at this video and be like, oh, I'm going to drink this tea to do this, and then they end up dying. So I don't know. It might be a fictional root, or don't know. But yeah, she was giving herself self-abortions because in her mind she was like, I see all these women who are bogged down with children and no prospects, and men that are just going to end up cheating on them anyway. Now here's where it gets messy, because it's a messy drama. This is a messy drama. She tells her little sister, stay away from boys, stay away from men, stay away from anything that doesn't look like you, because they're gonna want to get with you. Her sister is naive, as most 13-year-olds are. Her main problem is she don't listen. So this little girl ends up getting pregnant, and Lakshmi is like, okay, you're gonna drink this tea, you're gonna get rid of this baby, and you're going back to school. And her sister is like, I ain't doing neither and none. I'm keeping my baby. Ain't nothing you can do about it. My phone is ringing and I'm not next to it. Who's calling me? I don't know these people, so let's just end that now. But yeah, her sister says, I ain't doing it. I'm not. And her sister runs away. Turns out she runs away to a family friend, which is okay. We find out who the father of her baby is, which to me was kind of a shock. I thought it was Malik, but it's not Malik. I thought, you know, it would be odd for Malik to do that because he's so loyal to Lakshmi. He'd never want to do anything that would bring her down. But I thought, like, who else could it be? And whew, yeah, when you find out, it's like, okay, wow. And the funny part is, Lakshmi has the audacity to be mad at her little sister for doing this, which I get it. I do. She's under her household, which means she's bringing shame on her home. I get it. I do. Lakshmi out here having affairs with married men. Actually, just one married man. Doesn't make it right, but just one man, just one married man. She seems to be cool with it. And then Harry is, okay, so he used to abuse her. And so ever since she ran away, he was like, you know what? I was a bad person for all the bad things that I did. So now I'm going to be a good person who no longer does bad things and helps those in need. So in order for him to help women in need of help, not sexually, because you know some people are like jerks and was like, oh, you need to get away from your husband, get up with me. No, he does actually help, but he takes money from Lakshmi, and Lakshmi feels like she has to give it to him, or he'll tell everyone, hey, that's my wife, and this is really my house now, and we need to, like, no, she doesn't want that shame brought on her, and she's like, oh, this is mine, I earned it, this is mine, go away. Yeah, so she got a lot going on. She is able to get a divorce, and so that's nice. And Malik is working behind the scenes for her too. Lakshmi ends up setting up an adoption for her sister's baby. And, you know, there is such a moral gray area for this. And I love how the author brought out the moral gray area in this. Like, okay, she is Radha's legal guardian, right? So technically, at 13, that baby's not even Radha's. It's Lakshmi's. So that means Lakshmi would really be the one responsible for this child. So she should have the right to be able to say yay or nay and whether or not the child gets to stay or go. But Radha is the one who's actually giving birth. So since she's the one who's actually giving birth, she's the one who's actually the mother, she should have the right to be able to say, okay, well, this is my baby, I'm going to take care of it. Like, I should get to keep it. So yeah, that was an interesting gray area, and that was interesting how it played out. This book was good. It showed how Lakshmi spent 13 years of her life, nearly a decade and a half, trying to rebuild it, because she was married and she was working with her mother-in-law beforehand. So it shows how she spent nearly a decade and a half trying to rebuild her life to a point where she could be proud not only herself and her accomplishments, but also be proud of how her family looks at her. And then it shows all of that turn to ash. It's like building a wooden house and then watching it go up in flames, and then trying to pick through the ashes to see which one of these ashes can I use again. So you get to see her highs, you get to see her lows, and you get to see her try to pick through the ash to try to find what it is she can salvage. A lot of this shows that blood is thicker than water. Oh, not blood is thicker than water. Loyalty, well, I should say blood is thicker than water, loyalty is thicker than blood. Malik is the most loyal person ever. Everybody needs a Malik in their life. Everybody. I liked the ending. It was very hopeful. It says epilogue, but the epilogue doesn't feel like an epilogue to me. It just feels like the next chapter in the book, and it feels like the ending. So it doesn't feel like an epilogue. That's not necessarily a bad thing. When I think of epilogues, I think of, you know, into the future, like a few years into the future, to let us know what's going on. And the last chapter in the book talks about them heading out to Delhi, I believe. No, not Delhi, Himalayas, something like that. They're headed somewhere, and then the epilogue, they're getting off the train. So it's not really a epilogue per se, but it was good. What made this a 10 out of 10 is because, okay, so in the book there are a lot of Hindi words in it, like just thrown in there, and of course I'm not a native Hindi speaker. I don't speak any Hindi, and there's no context given to the words. So some things you can guess, like Radha, when she meets Lakshmi, she's like, hi Gigi, G-I-G-I, so I'm guessing it's Gigi. J-I, so I'm guessing it's Gigi. But after saying that a couple of times, I guessed, okay, this must be big sister. It must be either slang for big sister, or it must be the actual word for big sister. But things like Betty, Bheti, like someone says good luck with your Betty, and it's like, what is even a Betty? But the book has a dictionary at the end of it that says, and I found this out towards the end of it actually, so I was just flipping through and it's like, oh, this is what everything means. So yeah, it has a dictionary translating not just translating the word from Hindi, because from what I was looking at on Google, it was saying some words in Hindi don't have an exact word translation. Some of the words don't have an exact word translation, like an exact, if cat is this word in English, cat is this word in Hindi. Not all the words had an exact translation. So it tells the context of it as well so that you can kind of understand it. So that was cool. And something else that was interesting about this book, so there are different foods that are mentioned in the book. It gives recipes at the end of it on how to make the foods. I think it even has a henna recipe as well, so if someone wanted to get into henna, it's right there. I think this book was written in a way that not only people who are of Indian descent can enjoy it, but also people who are not of Indian descent. Like if this is their first dance with that culture, then that dance is made easier by the definition of vocabulary, the swiftness of the writing. It wasn't too flowery. I hate when writing is so flowery that you can't get what's going on. The writer was very concise, but she was also descriptive just enough. She wasn't overly descriptive. Like I didn't need to know the color of the guy who sells milk's hair. Stuff like that. She didn't do all that. She wasn't overly descriptive. The words that were in Hindi, they were italicized, so it's very clear I'm not reading this wrong, this is in another language. Those words were then explained at the end of the book, and we're also given a glimpse into how to create some of the things that we found in the book. So that was awesome. The only thing that would have brought it, like I said, to an R, there is sex, but there is only one sex scene. It is very clinical. I wouldn't call it descriptive. It's very short and it's easily skipped. If this was a Bollywood movie, it probably would have just ended with them hugging, with the two people hugging or something like that, or looking longingly into each other's eyes. If this was American made, it probably, I don't think, because the descriptions aren't too heavy, it probably would have just been some tumbling in the dark. So yeah, PG-13 and 10 stars. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Once again, this has been a review for the Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Bye, Bookends.